Now we're coming to our work session about leaf bag distribution. Did Mr.
Actually,
Hoff want to be here?
Mr. Hoff had an emergency, so I'm going
Okay.
to fill in for him
Okay.
this evening to discuss potential outsourcing of the distribution of leaf bags for the municipality. And I know the Public Works Committee has reviewed this concept. The concept is to have an outside vendor actually distribute our leaf bags instead of having a municipal employee perform those functions. In the process, in order to accomplish this, what we would need to do is to put a request out for proposals. It would actually be competitive contracting for the services to vendors throughout the community who would be willing to provide that service. And in your packet you'll see some of the concepts that we would be looking to do, and that would be to start the program in the fall of 2017. We'll be asking that the vendor would provide bags 7 days a week at a minimum time of at least 4 hours per day. They would have to be able to print the notices, violation notices on the bag. One of the things we should also understand, I'm sure vendors are going to be looking to put their branding on the bags, maybe one of the concepts. I wanted to bring that out to council. They would have to have easy access and distribution points, ensure, just as a service that we provide, they provide a service that would bring the bags out to cars if necessary for members of the community. And then they would be responsible for providing the residents their first 40 bags for free. After that, they would then charge for the bags, and the bids would be selected based on the cheapest price for our residents after the 40 free bags. And they would provide the municipality with monthly reports on that process. And what we're looking for council this time, before staff puts together the RFP or proposals, we wanted to make sure that there's a consensus on council to move forward in considering such a proposal.
I just have a couple questions to start. So can we limit it to make sure that this, the vendor is within the municipality?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Not only the vendor, but the point of distribution.
What we'd have as point of distribution is probably not necessarily the vendor, but the point of distribution, we could say it had to be within the municipality.
Okay. And then the other thing I wasn't clear about reading this list is it says the vendor must purchase the bags through the municipality, but then they also have to give the first 40 bags out for free to each household. And I'm just wondering how how that is supposed to work for the vendor.
Actually, I think that's one point that is a little confusing. The reality is, more than likely, the vendor will be purchasing the bags, not purchasing it through the municipality. I think that's just, as we were putting this together, I'm not sure if that was completely relayed. So I don't think that would be the case. What we more likely would be doing is asking the vendor to actually purchase the bags that we would purchase.
But even if the vendor is purchasing the bags, we're having them give out the first 40 for free.
And that's what we would pay for. We would actually pay for the first 40 bags.
We would pay for the first 40 bags. Got it. That makes more sense.
Can I?
Go ahead.
Okay. There was two things. One, I think that Bob Huff mentioned that I don't see on here, and I asked the question, was with storage. How is the vendor going to? Is there a mechanism for storage that they'll have enough bags so they won't run out every time?
I think the way he covered this was just say that the vendors would have bags available. They could store it. They could have a mechanism that would allow for continuous delivery of the bags. So they would have to show us how they're going to ensure that they have enough bags to continue to provide the bags to our residents.
And then I would assume there would be a clause in the contract that would say if you don't keep up the supply, we discontinue the relationship.
In past years, the bags have had the municipal logo on them. If you obtain the bags from the municipality, it's had a municipal logo. A lot of people go to various hardware stores and obtain bags with the hardware store logo on them. We've introduced a new requirement here that we didn't have before for the bags, and that's putting a violation notice on them. And I'm wondering if there's a little bit of creep here in terms of increasing the requirements that we're putting on the bag, and then either we or the vendor will come back and say, well, it's going to cost more to put the notice on the bag, so everybody who wants a bag is going to have to pay another nickel or another dime or something like that for the bag. And I think we need to be careful about what I'll loosely call mission creep here. Sure, it'd be nice to have a violation notice on the bag so that our guys can just use a marker and check off the violation. But if it costs more, do we really want to do it?
And the rationale for that is we've had, we've been trying to increase enforcement of the bags. And what that would require us to do is then do a separate, we're actually doing it, if we weren't doing this process, we would be putting them on our bags moving forward just to be more efficient. Instead of someone having to now do a separate violation to the individuals, we could do it right on the bag. Because a lot of times the bags are left there and the residents don't know why. So that's one of the rationale for having it there. And I believe it was something that was discussed, but we can also look at that if that's an issue.
Well, maybe could we find out if it's going to cost more we could use Post-it notes, like you can buy printed Post-it notes that you just slap on there or something. I mean, I agree, I wouldn't want it to cost more, but at the same time, I was also wondering if we could, I know we discussed this and I don't think everyone agreed with me on this, but that we could put a notice on the bag that logs and dirt are not allowed to be put in the bag, because one of the problems with the bags is, and one of the violations is when people put branches and logs that are too thick, or they put dirt in them. And so it seems like if we're going to put the violation notice on it, I would like to put something like that on it.
So you could just have something, that's what Bob Huff was telling us the other week, that people put rocks in them. So so if you had no rocks, dirt, whatever.
Right. I think Bob Huff was pessimistic that would help, but I was less pessimistic. I don't know, we need to maybe get the bid 2 ways or something?
Well, that will definitely cost, that kind of printing will definitely cost you a lot more.
Well, it would be the same as putting putting a
Violation.
violation notice. So, I mean, I feel like if we're putting a violation notice,
Yeah. No, I
it
agree.
wouldn't be hard to put the other stuff on.
No, I agree.
You still are going to need a mechanism if we're going to be issuing violation notices. To Mr. Miller's point, not everybody is going to be using these leaf bags, because people can use other leaf bags, and so you're going to
That's a good point.
You're going to need to have a way to issue violations. You don't just want to target the people who are using the municipal vendor. So
I didn't think of that, and now I think that's really clear that we shouldn't do it, because I agree with you. I mean, I think it has to be some yellow piece of paper or orange or something that's really.
So, Mr. DeShields, is the violation notice, is that included in the circular that all residents received about the leaf?
the rules are.
The rules.
Yeah, the rules
Yes.
are. So,
And the notice would just be almost a checklist where someone can go and say, this is why we didn't pick up your bag
okay.
for X, Y, and Z reason.
Well, I think that we should try to put an RFP out and see what happens. I don't know what the cost factor is going to be, but I think we should definitely try to put one out.
But do we agree that cost is the overriding factor, or do we want to put other stuff on there? I mean, for me, I don't care if our logo is on there. I don't care if I want cost to be the primary concern. And just to be clear, is that what everybody else thinks?
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be some printing with whatever vendor's chosen is going to have their logo on it. So I don't know that adding to the same side is going to drive up the cost that much. But
Right.
yeah, I'd be interested to hear whether that changes the unit price. I think overall this is a great idea that if there were, depending on who the successful bidder is, people have more access to the bags at more convenient hours. Hopefully there's free parking wherever this is. I think it's a great idea.
And it frees up public works staff too, to do other things. Okay. Terrific.
To fix the kiosks on Nassau Street.
Okay. All right. And now